living in the 21st century is frustrating. We live longer than ever. We have electricity, antibiotics, and the entire world in our pockets through the internet. And yet, something feels wrong. Despite all our progress, millions still go hungry. Wars continue. Inequality is glaring. We scroll past suffering while lying in the comfort of our homes. The world feels unstable, divided, fragile. Every crisis feels like the final straw, and it's easy to believe we're watching the beginning of the end. But what if we're not? What if, in truth, we're living the beginning of something much greater? We are the first species able to witness its own global transformation in real time. We see the cracks, but also the possibilities leaking through them. We feel overwhelmed because we're awake, conscious, connected, like never before. And while fear is natural, so is hope. So before we surrender to despair, let's take a deep breath. Let's zoom out and try to understand the story we're really in. Have you noticed that we humans understand life through stories? They're how we make sense of chaos, pass down meaning, and imagine what's possible. The story of our time often feels bleak, and with reason. But are we really living just one story? In truth, we live in a web of overlapping narratives. Some are tragic, yes, but others are filled with hope, courage, and change. Think about it. While wars rage on, scientific advances are saving millions of lives. While inequality persists, movements are rising to fight for justice. While destruction spreads, people are planting, regenerating, rebuilding. So, without ignoring the darkness, let's tell one more story. A story that doesn't begin with a warning, but with wonder. Because stories shape the limits of what we believe is possible. They whisper in our decisions, in our politics, in our dreams. And telling a story of hope doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means recognizing the light, even while walking through the dark. Because stories don't just describe the world, they build it. A question: have you ever stopped to think where all of this came from? There was a time when there was nothing. No time, no space, no atoms. And then, suddenly, everything. From the unimaginable came the Big Bang. The universe expanded, cooled, transformed. Energy turned into matter. Chaos gave way to order. Gravity pulled particles and forged stars. And those stars, when they died, exploded, scattering the elements that would one day form planets, oceans, and us. From stardust came all of us. From hydrogen to the complexity of the human brain. Have you thought about that? Every beat of your heart carries atoms that once burned inside a star. That was the opening act of our play. 13.8 billion years ago, the universe took its first breath. And since then, it has grown, stretched, evolved. And we are part of that process. Small, yes. Brief, yes. But real. And incredibly meaningful. On a young blue planet, conditions aligned. And from lifeless matter, life emerged. Microscopic cells. Fragile, but persistent. They copied themselves, competed, adapted. At first, slowly. Then, an explosion of diversity. Plants learned to turn light into food. Animals learned to move, to feel, to respond. Complexity built upon complexity, and life became more than survival. It became experience. Each innovation was a new way to perceive the world. Eyes, ears, nerves, emotions. Until one branch of this tree began to ask, who am I? Why am I here? Life didn't just survive. It began to perceive itself. And from that awareness, a new story was born. Our ancestors were just another species. Vulnerable, curious, stubborn. They mastered fire, shaped tools, painted dreams on cave walls. They gathered around flames, sharing stories. They mourned their dead. They celebrated survival. For thousands of generations, they faced hunger, storms, predators. But they kept moving forward, one step at a time, one idea at a time. Not because the world was easy, but because they refused to give up. They imagined a better life. And little by little, they built it. We are the children of that stubbornness. We carry the same fire. They didn't just survive. They created meaning. They built language, rituals, cooperation, even without knowing why. They dreamed forward. And in those dreams, we were already waiting. Then came agriculture, the great multiplier. With stable food came villages, then cities, then empires. Humanity began to specialize, to trade, to think beyond survival. We mapped the stars, we carved laws into stone, we wrote down ideas. Civilizations rose, fell, rose again, but always left a legacy. The wheel, writing, gunpowder, the press, science. In just a few centuries, we went from horses to rockets, from torches to satellites. The world has never changed so fast, and yet we remain essentially human, with the same hopes, the same fears, the same wonder at the unknown. And if we stop to think, civilization wasn't built only with bricks. It was raised with shared dreams. But here lies the paradox. We still carry ancient instincts. We crave belonging. We fear the stranger. We hoard resources. These instincts were crucial for survival in the past. But now, we live in a world shaped by algorithms and global industries. And our minds haven't kept up. The result? Rage on social media, fear of the future, denial of problems we ourselves created. We have godlike power, but Stone Age emotions. The great question of our time isn't what we can build. It's whether we can evolve from within, whether we can align wisdom with intelligence, purpose with power. And that question is still open. Even so, we have something no generation before us ever had. Tools built by millions of minds over thousands of years. We know how to cure diseases, generate clean energy, connect continents in seconds. We've mapped the genome, explored space, digitized thought. This isn't the beginning of civilization. It's the moment we decide what to do with it. We are not alone. We stand on the shoulders of giants. And the future is ours to shape. The tools are here. The knowledge already exists. We could end poverty, prevent disease, restore ecosystems. We could create clean energy for all, redesign cities, reinvent education. We could even extend life, explore the cosmos, perhaps even transcend death. Sounds crazy? 100 years ago, all of this was impossible. Today, it's within reach. The next leap could be as big as fire or the wheel. But beware, the seeds of utopia and dystopia grow side by side. Which one will flourish depends on what we choose to value. You are alive at a turning point in history. A world still full of flaws, but also full of potential. You don't need to solve everything, but you can push the story in the right direction. You can create, heal, connect, question, imagine. You can be kind in a cruel system. You can be curious in a distracted world. You can plant seeds for a better tomorrow. Maybe not for us, but for those who will come after. And that is legacy. Every act matters. Every voice counts. Your presence here, now, is no accident. You are not a spectator. You are a protagonist. So, what will you do with your chapter? Because this is not the end of history. It is the first page. You are not too late. You are exactly on time. Welcome to the beginning.